Powerhouse TC, transaction coordinator for my home group. I offer transaction coordinating services to all my home group agents. So you can find my information if you need it. Just definitely ask Kelly for it and I can send it over to you. And I have a website, powerhousetc.com, where you can find out more information. So the reason I teach this class is because this is my job all day long. I am in SkySlope and I am in transaction desk constantly all day. So I've become a pro at these systems. These two systems that I'm showing you is the main systems that you're going to be using for your real estate business. SkySlope is going to be for broker submissions and broker approval, and then transaction desk over here is your system like Zip Forms you may have heard of before, is now transaction desk, where you get all of your forms, you write your offers, you write your listings, you send anything you need for signatures. It's all in one system at transaction desk. So we're going to do a quick overview of the two and really smashing in a million features into an hour. So my home group offers a more detailed class about every other month on transaction desk. And we're doing an Authentic Sign class, I believe, at the beginning of next month, where it's specifically about the signing system. So if I'm going fast, if I'm not touching on everything, it's because there's so much, and you might want to take a look at the other classes that are offered to get in deep dive, more details on what you need to do. SkySlope is a super easy system. So we're going to start with this one. This one doesn't have any in-depth classes. It's so simple to use that you really will just get a hang of it after you use it a couple times. So we're going to start with SkySlope. Definitely just speak out, unmute yourself and speak up, please, if you have any questions while I'm going through it. I don't have an eye on the chat, so the best way to ask a question is just to unmute yourself and hop in and yell it out, so I can answer it right then while we're in there.
Perfect. And Tay, I'll keep an eye on the chat too.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go over SkySlope first. This is where you submit all the documents to the broker, and they may have mentioned in orientation that documents have to be submitted within 5 days of execution. That's not just the purchase contract, that's any addendums, benzers, anything that's signed needs to be submitted to the broker within 5 days. Then they need their time to review it, and if they kick it back to you and say that something's wrong with it, needs to be fixed, then you need to go in and check it, fix it, and submit that right away. So this is a system that we use. There's a couple different things that are available in this system. So there's DigiSign right here that you guys might not have. Let me check out the chat real quick. Oh, okay. This DigiSign, you might not have this here, and you might have it. It's an add-on feature, and this is another signing system. It's a very useful signing system, easy to use. However, most of the time we're just going to use the free system that's in transaction desk, which I'll touch on and show you. The other thing I use SkySlope for is going to be splitting documents. If you go into working documents here, you can upload anything in here. And if it's like a whole package, this is one I had just done, you can split off all the documents in here and save them, download them and save them. So if you need anything separated. So that's what I like the working documents feature for. Those are just a little added benefits. The two things that you're going to be doing more than anything is create listing and create a transaction. So we're going to go through these real quick. We're going to go ahead and create a listing. So you just do the prompts. The listing is super easy to do. This has to be done within 5 days of the ER being signed, not it being on MLS. So you just go ahead and choose your resale option. Let's say listing commission. If you had a co-agent, if you were on a team, this is where you would add that person in right here. This is only co-agents that are on the listing, not referrals. Choose your source, and then you put the client's name in here. And now it's created just like that. Super simple to create. So as soon as you create it, it has all the information up here. There's an email that's going to be associated to each transaction that you create. And you can email documents to this email. It'll be in this top document section of each transaction, anything that you email. It won't be assigned and submitted to the broker, so you still have to log in to SkySlope to submit that to the broker, but at least it'll be in there and you don't have to upload it. So the next step is just submitting the documents to the broker. So every time you create a listing, you're going to have these required documents in here that are required. And there's going to be a list of documents that are also not required. Not listed as required, but might be required for your transaction. And so you will want to submit those ones too. And it says if applicable, you want to submit those in there. So it's easy as drag and drop. Let me show you an example. So I'm just dragging it and dropping it in there from my computer, and it's uploaded, and now it says in review, and that's submitted to the broker. You don't have to press any buttons. It's now on the list of documents that the broker has to review. You can also click attach and then just upload it from your computer here this way, and you can do that. Show you. So that's another way to do it. So as soon as they are uploaded, they're going to be in review for the broker. It's going to be this orange. And then once the broker reviews it, it's going to be green. And if they kick it back, if there's something wrong with the document, it'll be purple. And then we'll have a little note for you here why it wasn't accepted. And so then you need to fix that. You can always delete them out of here if they're the wrong ones. And then you just let that sit for a little while. Once it's under contract, when you have a listing, you click accepted contract. And then you run through all the prompted boxes and information and submit the documents. So I'm not going to do that on the listing side here because I also want to show you how to create a transaction. Creating a transaction, a buyer transaction, is the same process from here throughout. So I'm just going to leave this one here. And then we're going to go create a transaction. So if you have a buyer under contract, again, you've got to submit it within 5 days. So you just click create transaction. And you just upload everything in here. So I'm going to pretend like I have this one under contract. So the checklist type is the most important feature here that'll kind of mess you up if you don't get it right. There's a whole list of checklists here that you need to choose. So if you're representing a buyer, it's going to be a traditional sale, buyer rep, depending on the price. You need to pick up the right price, $600,000 or more or less. There's your dual agency. The dual agencies are for if you're representing both parties, not if it's my home group both. And then the seller rep, and then you have a couple other ones that if you have a referral that you sent out to somebody, you're not working the client, you would click this one. You still have to put in all the information for the transaction, but all you have to do is upload the referral document. So if you mess up on these, the new home one is probably one you'll use a lot too. If you mess up on these, you would go up to this little support right here and contact SkySlope and ask them to change it. When you ask them to change it, it'll delete all the documents out of there if you've uploaded any, and you have to redo it. But that's really the only way to get those checklists changed, or you would cancel it and have to redo a whole new one. That's not a my home group thing. So if you have questions with documents, you want to go to my home group. If you have questions with SkySlope system, you want to go to the support here and contact them, and they're super fast. So we're going to pick traditional sale, buyer rep under 600,000. And this checklist is what's going to tell me what's required. Oops. Purchase. Office lead is no. and then your acceptance date. So let's say it was a couple days ago and it's going to close on the 19th. So seller's name. That's all it asks for seller. I only fill out the ones that are required information. So buyer's name, let's say it's me. And then title. So you would fill in all this title information of the escrow officer but if you are using the same escrow officer over and over again, you can always search your contacts here. And it'll probably have it in here where you can just go ahead and upload it. It'll pop up. So here's Christine. I don't know who Kelly uses. This is her account. So we're gonna say.
Do you care? Do you want to know?
What do you use, Kelly?
Jennifer Bayless at Lawyers.
So there, her information's in here. You would just click it. So if you've used an escrow officer before, it just saves the information in here. And you save that, and then agent that represented the other side. And then if you had a lender, same thing. If you put at least their first, it doesn't require anything in lender information. So I at least put their first and last name, their email and their phone number. So you have that. If it's a cash deal, you can just move on, and then you can search the contacts. If you use that lender a lot, you would have that in there. So submit that. Now it's created, but it's not submitted to the lender. So the transaction is going to say incomplete until you submit everything to the broker. Sorry, I said lender. So put your commission in here. If you had a TC, you would add how much the TC is getting paid and their name in here. And then if you had co-agents that you added on here, they would all be listed down here. And you would write any notes that you need to tell the commission staff. So the commission staff will create a DCA 5 days before close of escrow based off of the information that is in this commission tab right here. So if you've changed your commission, you need to make sure to come and change it right here. You need to change the purchase price so that the commission's correct. You need to change it here. If you change it to a flat fee, so let's say I'm just getting $15,000, you would put that on this side. And let's say you're giving a credit. So I'm giving the buyer $1,000 credit. You would put a note in here so that they see that, save the comment. So when they go to create your DCA, they've at least gone in here and seen what the commission is supposed to be, any credits that you're giving. If there's a referral, you put a referral in here. And then any splits that you need to know. So if it's 50-50 with the team, you would put a note in here that just says 50-50 split with Kelly. And they would see that and they can do it correctly. Otherwise, your DC is going to be incorrect. Your commission is going to be wrong, and then you're not going to be able to get paid at close. So make sure this commission tab is always correct. And that's the same for a listing. When we're in the listing where you click accept a contract, it's the same steps as what we're doing right here. So we went ahead and submitted. Now these are all the required documents that are showing right now. If it's not required, but it's still showing required. So let's say this house actually was built in 1997. So it's not going to require a lead-based paint addendum, which is right here, lead-based paint. It's showing as a required document. There's a couple ways to handle this. You can just write a note in here that says built 1997 and click save. The commissions department will see this when they go to do your DCA, and they'll clear it for you. If you don't want it to show required the entire time you're under contract, what you can do is just create a Word document that says not applicable, built 1977, and upload that here, and the brokers will approve it and clear that for you. So that goes to with anything. If there's no HOA, you would do the same thing here on the no HOA. Brokers are not going to come in here during your transaction and go through and clear anything it'll be at the end of the transaction. So if you don't want it to show required, then definitely upload something in here. So the next thing we're gonna do is upload the documents. So I just drag and drop everything in here. MLS. And then tax. And you just, I'm not gonna do them all just for the sake of this class so we can show you as much as possible. But this is as easy as it gets. And then they will review these documents for you. And you have to go back in, you have to log into SkySlope and check it. I usually set myself a reminder for 3 days. I give them 3 days and then I come back and check to see if anything was rejected. And then if it's rejected, they'll put a little note here why, and you have to fix it and resubmit it. So you're gonna go through and upload everything that applies, even if it's not showing required. Once you get to the point where you want to get your commission instructions, and if you don't have it in here, they're not going to approve commission instructions. And so you want to make sure, even if it doesn't show required, let's say you have a buyer contingency addendum, you want to make sure it's uploaded in there, because they will at the end of this transaction make sure that you have everything in there. So any questions on SkySlope before we move on to transaction desk, because that's all you're going to do in SkySlope. Nope, nothing. Okay, we're gonna move on to transaction desk now. So transaction desk is the system that you're gonna be using to write offers, do any type of paperwork, referral agreements, anything. So there's a couple different ways to log into transaction desk, and that's actually one of the most difficult steps that happens. So I'm gonna log out here for you so you can see. This is the main login page for transaction desk. Now you have to first log in through AAR's single sign-on, and that will require your NERDS number and your AAR password. Once you get in through that way, you will need to go to your settings. So I'm going to show you where to locate it. Go into settings, go into preferences, and then login. This is where you're going to use the forgot password, and you're going to reset your password and use this forgot password link. That main login page won't work unless you have reset your password. I don't know why, but that's the only way I figured out to be able to use that main login page. The other thing is you need to check your email. So under user information, this email right here is the email that is your login. If this is showing different than what it's supposed to be, you need to contact your association to change it. No matter how many times you change it in here, it will revert back at midnight to whatever your association has. So you want to make sure, like on WeServe, if I wanted to change this, I would go to WeServe and change that information in there. So you want to be able to log in from that main login page, because every time you create a transaction, you need to go back to that same transaction. You don't want to have to keep trying to log in through the back way, which will be very inefficient. It'll take you a couple different clicks and places to go. So that's one of the first steps that you're going to want to do, is try and figure out that login. And then you want to go through all your preferences when you first get on here. These change your settings, your fonts, your like transaction templates. So just take notes for a couple things that you guys want to set up. I can't go through them with you for the sake of time. But some things you're going to want to set up are going to be these clauses here, personal clauses, and you're going to add in all the personal clauses that you will want to use. This is what goes in section 8 of the contract. So for example, these utilities not on, this is something that I like to put in section 8. So I have this in here and it's saved clause. I don't have to type that out every single time I write a contract. I just click on it and it adds it to the contract. So all of these clauses in here, you're going to want to try and get as many in there as you want or you prefer. And that'll save you time when you're writing offers. Another thing that you want to set up is going to be transaction templates. This is what is going to save you hours of time. So I have land purchase, listing, and residential purchase. Residential purchase is the first one that you're gonna wanna set up. So add in documents. The documents that I like to add in is just the business disclosure. This is a required document by my home group for every transaction. So I just add it into my template. So now it's added to every transaction I create. Documents and forms are different in transaction desk. Forms is anything that comes from AAR or Armless. So any form that is provided for you. Documents are going to be anything that's with your brokerage or you specifically have any specific documents. So the next thing you're going to do is go into your template and add your forms in here. You just click on this button and add as many forms as you want to add in here. You can add all the addendums that you want to add. You can add solar addendum. You can add extra addendum 1. I have the Binzer in here because we use that at every transaction. I have the pre-close, final walkthrough, and then I have all the advisories that are going to be required. So you're going to set up all your templates. And this is where it's helpful, is in this template, I have all of these words in here. So instead of having to type all of this stuff out, every single offer you write, these things are already checked in here. This is already typed in here. You're going to want to put escrow officer's information in. And then you're going to want to make sure that your information is put in here too. Under all of it needs to be in here correctly. So I can't walk you through the templates just for the sake of time. That's a more detailed class, but make sure to go through your templates. Click on transaction template and add that in here. Add all your forms that you want, add the documents that you want in here. These documents, any documents from my home group can be found on MAP on the portal, and all new documents from my home group. So you're gonna have like pool disclosures up there. If you're changing your commission, those will be up there. So things like loop disclosures too are on there. So set up one of those. Those are the main ones that you're going to want to set up. Preferences, I think that's all. So we're going to go back to our dashboard. This is the main page. There's a couple different things that you can do from this main page. These are all the transactions that you've ever created. This Authentisign is the signing system. So you can get to Authentisign signing system as long as you click the pen. From any screen you're in, there's going to be this pen everywhere. And then this forms right here are all the last forms that you have accessed. So we're going to go through a couple of these options here. This doc box right here on the left-hand side, you want to set this up. You go to my folders and I have all of my home group's disclosures in this document box. So these are all the disclosures that my home group has on file. Just in case we need it, I want to go in here and grab it. So go on the My Agent portal and download like your pre-possession agreement, your post-possession agreements, anything that they have there as options for you to send to your client for signatures, I would put in this document box. And then you can, forms you can't change. Go to your signings. These are all the signings that you have done. You can go here and edit signings, and then you can go to the house for all your transactions. So we're going to go ahead and create a transaction. And I'm going to show you how to create a transaction in a couple different ways. So I already pulled up this transaction that I want to create an offer for. So we're going to write an offer on this house right here. You can click on transaction desk right here, and it's going to send it to your transaction desk. Now, this is the back way that I was talking about, though, that you have to log in with your NERDS number and your password to get to transaction desk. So this is not the way that I prefer to do it. If you have your login saved on there, it'll send everything that way. The way that I prefer to do it is just to copy this MLS number here. And I'm going to create a transaction. So this button up here says add. Drive. And I'm gonna apply that template that I just showed you. The residential purchase template is the one that I want to apply. So all those documents are automatically gonna be in there. And then I'm gonna import from MLS with that MLS number right here. So this is the MLS number, the one I wanna write an off from. I never use this wizard. I find that it's not very convenient. It asks me to enter a lot of information that I really don't need in there. So I always just unclick it and don't use that. So it takes a minute. It's taking everything from MLS and putting it all in here. So this is what it did. It took everything: seller's name, address, legal description, comments. It took everything that they could find in MLS that applied and put it in here for you. So I've created the transaction. The first step, as soon as you've created your transaction, is to go to contacts. That's what you're gonna put in your contacts, because anything you send for signature reads from your contacts. So don't go and fill out your form and put in your buyer's information. You're gonna create a new transaction contact. The buyer, I'm gonna put Bob buyer. Put their email in, that's all you need. As long as their legal name is Bob Buyer. If you want to change their preferred signature, you can definitely do that, but that's not very often. You usually want the name that's on the contract is going to read Bob Buyer. So you want to make sure that whatever you want on the contract is what that says. And then you can add existing contact. If you've already written an offer for them before, you can go in here and add them again. So let's say I want this person to be a buyer. And that'll just ask you to make sure that they're a buyer, make sure their email's right, and save. So instead of re-adding a new contact every time, just add an existing contact if you've written an offer for them. So it pulled over the listing agent's information already. If you click on that, it already has their email in here for you. And it has you as the buyer's agent. Then I go to the forms. So I just start with the purchase contract. These are all the forms that were in my template, and that's why they're here. If you don't have a template, you can just click add and start adding them in here. Just start typing it in, it'll pop it up for you. There, I want to add the BINSR. I want to add the purchase contract. I want to add, let's see. Let's say I want to add a buyer agency. So I'm looking for the disclosure and election for a buyer. So you can just click on everything that you want to add and click add, and it'll put it in here for you. So those are the ones that I just added. If it's not in your template though, you have to go in and fill them all out. So the template means you've already filled out a lot of that information. So I'm going to click on this form and I'm just going to fill in. So we put Bob Buyer as the buyer in our contacts. And we put Eric Hansen as a buyer. So that's why they're already there, because it recognized from the contacts that those are the buyers. It recognized that that's the seller from MLS. It has the address and everything already in there because we imported it all. So we're going to write the offer on this. Down payment is going to be just like. All right, there was an HOA on this property, so that's why I'm selecting the HOA. I'm going to show you where we can get those. And I'm not going to be very detailed on this for the sake of the class, but this was all in my template, so that's why the escrow officer's information is already in here. If you don't have templates set up, you'll have to add all this information in as you're writing your offer. So this is the clauses that I was going to show you. I told you that you need to set those up. Right here on the top, there's something that's called clause. And that's what I showed you over there is the personal clauses. So I'm gonna add that clause in there about utilities not being on. And I'm gonna say that this can be close of escrow on or before. So that's where it just added everything in there for me. Close of escrow on or before, I put May 20th. And those are already in there. Terms of acceptance. And this is why in the template, you want to have all the information already put in here because it's not going to put all this in here and you'll have to type it in every time. East Rain Tree. So I'm not going to put it all in here. This ideally would be all filled out. I'm not advising you to not completely fill out your contract, but this is for the sake of this class, I'm not going to put it all in, but see, it pulled everything from MLS for the other agent. So the seller's agent's information is already in there when you import it from MLS. So I'm going to save this. And then you just go through any documents that you want to open and edit. I just know that none of these need to be edited at this point because I already have them all filled out. So go to your document section next. Documents is going to be anything that wasn't provided by AAR or MLS. So these were all in the MLS system, and that's why they're in here. The listing agent uploaded the attention agents, the clue, HOA addendum, renovations, and spuds. So that's the amazing thing about Transaction Desk is as soon as you import anything from MLS, it takes all the documents as well for you. So we definitely want the buyer to sign the HOA addendum with the offer. So we're going to take note that that's in there. And we also want them to sign the affiliated business disclosure with the offer. So just take note that it's in there. You can't send documents and forms at the same time to the signing system. So this is a step. You're going to want to send the forms first and then add the documents in later. So I'm selecting here every form that I want our buyer to sign. And that's all those, the purchase contract and the advisories. So once you've selected everything that you want the buyer to sign, you're going to click on this little basket here and click the pen. So the pen is going to take you to Authenticsign anywhere, any screen that you're in. It's going to send all of these to Authenticsign. This that I'm editing right now, the signing name is what's going to show for your clients in their email. So you want to make sure that that's something that they can understand. You can set sign in line or simultaneous sign. You can set send a reminder. And then I always tell everybody hide the signature key. Make sure that's checked. If that's not checked, you guys have probably seen on documents where there's a big yellow key. It's not flattering next to every initial and every signature. Or there's like a big yellow square. So if you click hide signature key, that's not going to show up for you. The next step I did was click on participants, which was step 2. It automatically pops up this screen for you as soon as you click on participants. These are all the contacts that were in our contacts for this transaction. So remember I added Bob Buyer and Eric Hansen as buyers. And then if you want to CC anybody, you can just click on them. So if you click on the listing agent's name, so Nicole Wheeler is the listing agent, it will automatically make them a reviewer. You do not want them to be a reviewer. A reviewer is somebody who has to approve the documents before the signing is complete. So this would be somebody, if you're on a team, maybe your team lead wants to review the documents, or let's say a wife is buying, but the husband wants to review the documents before they agree to sign. You would add the husband in here and make him a reviewer. Now, if you want it to go automatically to the listing agent, as soon as the buyer signs, you're going to make sure to press CC only. So anybody that you want to copy, if you want to copy your TC, you would add your TC into the contact section and then make them a CC only. So we're not going to do that, so I don't accidentally send Nicole a offer. And then we go next to the documents. So these were everything I clicked from the form section that I wanted to sign. Now remember, I need to add in what was from the document section. So at this point, I'm going to click add documents. And at the very top, this is our transaction that we are in. And it has a list of all the forms and a list of all the documents. So I'm going to add in my affiliated business disclosure, and I want them to sign the HOA addendum. So here we have our affiliated business disclosure, our HOA addendum. You can rearrange them however you want. And then you're going to apply layouts. So layouts are where you want somebody to sign. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'm going to show you on the next spot where this applies. So I'm going to apply a layout, and on the affiliated business disclosure, I have one called affiliated business disclosure for buyer. And then I just assign my buyers, Bob and Eric, and apply that. So if you see these little yellow boxes here, that means there's a layout applied here. There's no layout applied here. There's none here. So you can go and apply layouts to all the documents. So I have one for the HOA addendum for the buyer to sign it. So I'm not going to apply it to anything else. So I can show you what happens when you don't apply a layout. Layouts is something that you're going to want to set up because that'll save you hours of time. One of the biggest ones I like to set up is the purchase contract for sellers to sign. That'll save you from dragging down all of them. So then you click design next. And it'll take a minute. It's applying all those initials and signatures where you want them. So that's why it takes a second for it to load. So these yellow things are what the layout is. It already has a layout for these forms, but it didn't have a layout for the documents. So on a purchase contract, you want to make sure that you delete these out. These are optional initials. And you're going to just drag in where you want them to for sure initial. So there's the optional initial that they can have the option to initial or not. Same with the signatures and the check boxes. I don't like to give the buyers an option. I just tell them where they need to initial. So you're going to want to drag those. And everything else is done. Signatures are already applied here. So I didn't have a layout for the buyer advisory, and this is why you need to set up the layouts, because for everything you don't have a layout for, you have to drag and drop the date and the name and the signature. So market conditions. Okay. All right, so HOA addendum, remember I applied the layout, so I have this all here. I have other checked, you can mark it up. The reason I have other checked is because you can do like split 50-50. So if you click on markup, this is where you can drag and drop anything that you want to be filled out. And the same thing with the affiliated business disclosure. If you want to put the address in there, you're going to need to mark up and add the text. Okay, so this is where everything that I would have had to do if I didn't have my layout set up is drag and drop their signatures, their dates, their names. And then you go ahead and send it out for signature at this point. So I I'm not going to send it out for signature for the sake of this class because we'd have to go through and sign it all. But if you were to click next and you click send invitations, and it's now going to go out to the people to sign. So let me show you where to set up those layouts. You click on the little pen up and to sign all your signings. Click on the right menu over here and click layouts. These are all the layouts that I have set up. So you're going to want to go in here and get your layout set up. Another way to do that is if you go into your signing. So let's say I have this offer right here. Under design. So now that I've dragged and dropped everybody's names on there and their signatures where I want, the dates where I want, you can apply the layout at this point. So your first offer that you send out from Transaction Desk, you're going to want to make sure to take this step before you send it for signatures because you can't do it after. Go to layouts and go to save as layout. So these, I already have ones with these names. I just didn't apply it for the sake to show you. But if you didn't have any of these, you would want to make sure and set up the buyer advisory. So let's say I'm going to set up a wire fraud advisory for the buyer to sign. I already have all of these. So it's going to create anything that you've checked, you're going to create that layout. All right, so I'm going to take you back real quick to the transactions. I create a new transaction for every single offer. Do not create, like if you're writing an offer for somebody, if you're writing an offer for somebody and it doesn't go through and you need to write a second offer, I don't go back in and edit the address because it has taken everything from MLS already. So somewhere on your documents, it'll say the wrong address or the wrong seller name. So every time you write an offer, just create a new transaction. Don't go in and edit an old one. And then if you want to just ignore any of these transactions, so let's say you wrote 7 offers for one buyer and you don't want to see all those, you can just go into the menu here and click archive and archive it out of here if you don't ever want to see it again. You can also change the status of it. If you just want to show the status as canceled or closed, you can change your transaction statuses and keep them organized like that. So there's a lot of different options within Transaction Desk. If you go into the signings because your client hasn't signed something, you would see this little flag here means that it's all signed. So you want to make sure that if this is a little flag under authentic sign and they said that they've signed, it'll have a little clock here showing that they haven't signed. You want to make sure and tell them, hey, you opened it, but you didn't actually go through and click complete signing. So you can check the statuses here. If they're telling you that it's signed and it's not showing signed on your end, it's probably because they haven't clicked the complete signing. So that is your quick overview of Transaction Desk. I wanted to see if anybody had any questions on Transaction Desk. No? None?
Is everybody still there? Is everybody awake?
Hello?
It's a lot of info, but it's a great overview. And as soon as everybody has their first transaction, it'll all make so much more sense. And this is being recorded too, guys.
Yes.
So you can go back to this when the time comes to like go, you know, line by line or step by step.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that if you're writing an offer and you're stuck and you don't know where to go, just go watch the video and follow along with the offer that I just wrote. All right, no questions? Is that all? Okay, Kelly.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, if guys have no questions, we're all set. Tay, thank you so much. It was
You're
great.
welcome.
Yes, thank
All
you
right.
guys.